Hello, welcome back to KXAN Live. I'm your anchor, Esmeralda Zamora, and today we have our Kristen's Classroom segment with meteorologist Kristen Currie. Kristen, good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Pretty good. It's been a busy morning. We have, a pretty big not severe risk, wildfire risk and a severe risk, if we're being honest, out in parts of the Northeast. We've got something special in the works for severe weather season that the team is working on. So it's been a busy morning, but excited to spend some time with you.
Yeah, and it's also been a busy week here in Austin. We have lots of events happening.
Oh, yeah.
But thankfully, we have some great weather to go with it.
It is hard to beat this kind of weather. We know when it comes to South by, we've had South bys that have been extremely cold, South bys that have been very stormy, or on the hot side. It's been really nice, almost like suspiciously nice for the last week or so. But we will start to see those winds come up today.
Well, you did mention a little bit about wildfire risks, and this is something that we have had on our radar for this entire month, pretty much.
Yeah.
What goes into wildfire risks, and what conditions do we need to have that type of risk?
Yeah, let's jump into it. I figured this is a great topic for Kristen's Classroom because, like Esme just said, we had this last week. We're going to see this again. And unfortunately, Friday into Saturday, we get another high risk. So today's is obviously most urgent. It's in our face. But when we talk about wildfire conditions, a wildfire isn't necessarily sparked by weather, the exception being lightning, which we really don't have a high threat of today. It's the conditions of the atmosphere that can sometimes add in wildfire growth, wildfire spread, out of control wildfires, and that's what we're looking at. So when it comes to red flag warning or fire weather warning criteria, what do you need for that to be in effect? Well, we are typically talking about humidity less than 15% or less, which is very dry air, especially for us here in Central Texas. Not Central America. You can tell my brain's going all sorts of different directions. Central Texas, we're pretty close to the Gulf of Mexico, right? Or Gulf of America. It is hard to get dry as far inland as Central Texas, but we can and we will today when it comes to the dry line coming through, dropping our dew points, dropping our humidity. So we know that's going to happen. Number 2, wind gusts. Wind gusts 25 miles per hour or stronger. Those are going to be a concern of obviously fanning flames, spreading embers, that kind of thing if a wildfire was in place or ignited. The third thing is duration. These kind of conditions lasting 3 hours or longer can really cause a problem as it's only going to push that wildfire farther and farther with whatever direction those winds are coming out of and making it really hard on crews to contain this wildfire. So those are usually the 3 things I'm looking for when it comes to a high fire day. With the Weather Service who issues red flag warnings, those are the 3 things they're going to be looking for. Low relative humidity, so dry air, strong winds to fan a wildfire in addition to duration. Now, other things we look at too is the fact that we could be in a severe drought, as we are, an extreme drought, if you're being specific, out into portions of the southwestern counties and Austin Metro. And unfortunately, our winds are easily going to make that criteria today. We could see wind gusts 40 to 45 miles per hour in the hill country. So things to keep in mind, we want to avoid all burning because more often than not, with the wildfires that we have here in the United States, most of them, a vast majority of them are caused by humans. Whether or not it's ours or not, we cause them. Yeah. And I think this is the biggest thing that's so frustrating is sometimes it could be as simple as putting a cigarette butt out the window and it causing, a small grass fire that turns into a very large structural fire. Avoiding generating sparks, and that's wide encompassing. That can be generating a spark by dragging a chain behind your vehicle. It could be something as your lawnmower, that blade hitting a rock, causing a spark, gets into dry grass, causes a fire.
Your car parked on top of grass.
Exactly. Car parked on top of dry, tall grass. Those kind of things, which seem so harmless, right? We just did a story, I guess it was this week, of a family in New York who was making s'mores in the backyard on a Saturday morning, unfortunately caused a huge wildfire in the Long Island area. Just something as simple as s'mores with the family, So those are the kind of things that we want to be warning about and thinking about. Is you can see any sort of outdoor burn, prescribed burns. None of that's going to happen on a day like today.
And in your article that you wrote today, you also mentioned the perfect conditions. An example of the perfect conditions are what we're seeing today.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yeah. So if you look at today's wildfire risk, this is from the Storm Prediction Center. So they do not only the severe risk but also critical fire. And you can see that orangish color is elevated fire danger. So hey, we're on the lookout. It's a little bit higher than normal. When we get into that salmon pink color, that means, okay, this is pretty critical. That means if a fire was to ignite, it's likely to spread fairly quickly with the conditions. The pink, extreme, 3 out of 3, that's as high as it goes. We are maxed out when it comes to our wildfire danger today, and not just in portions of Mason, San Saba County. You can see there's a good chunk of the big country there, parts of San Angelo and further towards the south and southwest that are really concerned about a wildfire growing out of control if one was to start. And that's kind of the big if, and the thing that we're really trying to hit home is the fact that we can do different things and different behaviors on a day like today. And overall, last week during our day of high fire danger was a prime example. We could have seen explosive, out of control wildfires. Yes, we had a couple go up, a couple in Williamson County, a couple in Hayes County. No one got hurt. No structures were burned. Like in those conditions, we had 50 to 60 mile per hour winds.
Yes.
So people did change their behaviors. I'm convinced that people took those warnings seriously, which is why we didn't have that out of control wildfire last week. And I'm really hoping they do the same today.
Yeah. And Nick and I spoke about the alerts being different this year. And that's something to look out for when we have days like today, to make sure we know what these notifications or these alerts mean.
Right.
What exactly do they look like when they come out?
So this would be the alert you get today if you're in those pink highlighted counties. So the red or pink is a red flag warning, also known as a fire weather warning. Those two are interchangeable. What's a little different today is those winds are coming in with that cold front and that dry line. So the winds are going to hit the hill country first before they blow into the Austin metro. And the reason that's important is that red flag warning starts at noon in the hill country. It starts at 4 p.m. for the Austin metro. Both are set to expire at 9 p.m. But this is what the map is going to look like when you do see a fire weather alert come through. Typically, it's that hot pink color. Now, in a perfect world, we get a watch before a warning. A fire weather watch was issued yesterday. It has now become that warning because we're within that 12 to 24 hour window of this becoming imminent. And we do know that those winds are, yes, already breezy now, but look to be much stronger later today. Drought, the precursor for wildfire danger. You can see, unfortunately, where we see the strongest winds today is where we've got some of the driest soils across central Texas, Austin metro, and into the hill country. And I'll just end with this, the fact that it's not just today, as mentioned, Esme, unfortunately. Friday, Saturday, we've got another high fire danger. It's another dry cold front coming in, bringing strong winds, low humidity. This time around, with this second front, we'll get a little cooler. But unfortunately, until we get a good soaking rain, these fronts are going to do more harm than good.
And with great weather, like what we're seeing on our screen right now, comes some risks. Like you mentioned, the wildfire risks. And without that rain, this is why we are in this situation. Right?
Absolutely. You're exactly right. And it's going to take a big change in weather pattern to start to see this wildfire risk come down, because if that storm track continues to stay too far to the north, yes, we miss out on most of that severe weather threat today. It's only a low risk in Milam and Lee County, very, very far northeast. But we're going to see a lot more of these red flag warning days until that storm track starts to dig a little deeper and brings us some rain.
Well, all we ask for is for everyone to be careful.
Yes, please be careful, use caution, take those warnings seriously.
Yeah. We do have your article here on kxan.com where you kind of go in more depth about wildfire risks and the conditions needed for us to be in a wildfire red flag alert. If anyone is interested, where does the KXAN First Warning Weather Team pull their guidance from?
So we actually use two different, Texas A&M Forest Service and the Storm Prediction Center help give us those outlooks, those polygons as you see. The red flag warnings come from the Weather Service. Any sort of weather watch, warning, advisory comes from the Weather Service, but that's just kind of a behind the scenes tool that we use, kind of getting a glimpse behind the curtain, if you will, of what we're talking about and where we're getting our information from to relay the messages of, hey, today's not going to be a day that we want to outside burn.
Well, thank you so much, Kristen.
Of course.
It was nice talking to you, and
yes,
we're excited about next Wednesday's topic.
Yep, I'll see you next week.
Thank you.